Did you have a date on Valentine's Day? Well, our president did, and it wasn't Vladimir Putin, but somebody even more special, and that's Benjamin Netanyahu, who came to
Total heartthrob.
yeah,
Right.
who came to visit Washington after 8 horrible years of the Muslim communist. There was a potential for a new start. They participated in a awkward press conference where Donald Trump said that he wants to make a deal. He wants to make a big deal, and
The
it would be
best deals.
it was one of the best.
Huge,
And he
huge,
wants everybody to be
huge.
happy. That's important. And he said one state, two state, three state, four state,
Red state, blue
yeah,
state.
as many as it takes is what.
Right.
On a serious note, America had a long-term commitment to a two-state solution, and Donald Trump, in his enthusiasm for the big deal, has said maybe a one-state solution, which would be completely
See,
repellent for
that'll be,
Palestinians.
see, that'll be, but there's a lot of ways that could go. I mean, if they do one state, but they do with something like how Northern Ireland ended up, where it's basically everyone has equal rights, or at least working on getting equal rights for everyone. Everyone has unfettered access to their holy sites, and there's some sort of power sharing agreement to make sure none of the demographics in the country become like able to overpower the rest. I mean, I don't even know. It wouldn't even be Israel at that point. It'd be some kind of like United Abrahamic Republic or something like that. I think that'll be very interesting. And if they don't figure out two-state, that's probably how it's going to go. Because I mean, the Jewish population in Israel is no one's going to be able to like uproot them. I mean, they're there. They're heavily armed. They're embedded. No one's going to get them out of there.
You mean settlements, or
Yeah, just like the idea of like any like somehow like removing the Israeli population there, or the Jewish Israeli population. That's not happening.
you mean from settlements, or
Just in general. I
oh
mean,
well, I mean in general,
you talk
nobody
about
is.
some of these hardcore like jihadi Salafi types are talking about like kicking all the Jews out of the Middle
Yeah, I
East.
mean
That's not
that's
happening.
not, yeah.
Yeah, that's
But
not
what
happening.
about the settlements? You think
That
that's realistic at all?
the trouble there is like they've made so many of them at this point that I'm not even sure if there's like, I mean, if they did a Palestinian state now, where would it be? I mean,
Yeah.
there's just so many settlements. They might be getting themselves into a situation where there's going to have to be one state, and there's just going to have to be, I don't know, some kind of like maybe some kind of federation or some kind of like power sharing arrangement between Palestinians and Jewish Israelis. And of course, there's the other demographics too. There's the Arab Christians, there's the Druze people, I mean, there's all kinds of people there. It's a very diverse part of the world. So I'm not really sure how that's all going to work out. One thing they could do is, there's always a sticking point. That's the Temple Mount. The region, where they have the Dome of the Rock and the Al-Aqsa Mosque and the Western Wall, which is always this point of contention. Now, what Trump can do is he
What
can
I would call as an atheist sandwich of superstition. But
Sure, yeah, sure. What Trump can do is he can say, you know what? I'm just going to build a hotel right on
yeah,
the whole thing. It's
exactly.
like, so okay, if you can't settle out, who's going to get this? If you can't, divide up your little holy spots, I'm just going to put a hotel there. It's going to be
Yeah, make
used.
that mosque into a Gucci store.
Yeah,
It's
right.
time.
Make the Western Wall. It'll be great. You can use it as like maybe like the front part of like some kind of
It could
concert
be
or
part of a gym where you
yeah, like
climb.
some kind of amphitheater,
Yeah.
So maybe you should just do that. Put the pressure on, be like, all right, you guys got to get this done, or else it's going to be the Trump Temple Mount. It's all going to be gold. You can take the gold off of the temple, after the Dome of the Rock, and use it to make the giant golden key. Something like that. But it's going to be interesting to see how the whole thing works out, because Trump is walking into this long standing conflict that I don't think he fully understands. I mean, I don't think anyone fully understands it, but least of all him. And he's going to have to like navigate his way through this. Maybe he'll idiot savant his way through it. I don't know. Maybe he'll just horribly fuck it up and make everything about it worse. That's also a possibility, knowing
I think
him.
there is so much momentum there that it's hard to reverse. I mean,
Mhm.
and the question is just where it will end up, in a sense of there are two sides, and one side is clearly winning,
Yeah.
and the question is what will that victory entail, and the kind of force you would need to retard the flow of that victory, or to force some sort of significant compromises. And I'm of course not talking about military force,
Yeah.
but it doesn't seem that anybody would have the political will to carry that out, or the kind of diplomatic brilliance. And certainly not the not the great pussy grabber. I don't think
Yeah,
that
right.
he can grab that one by the pussy. But my kind of Ivan's plan or kind of solution potential at this late stage in the Middle East, if anybody's interested, would be to have like a confederacy, to have an Israeli state, Palestinian state, but the Palestinian state will have to be kind of slapshot and divided. So
Yeah.
in maybe they could on the one hand issue joint passports, but
Yeah.
have separate governments and like invest in infrastructure together, have joint programs, and
Kind of
have
like a federal system kind of thing.
yeah, well, like a confederacy where they're
Yeah.
less intertwined, I guess.
So not quite a federation, but
Yeah.
like not quite two states. It's some kind of joining.
Well,
It's not a bad idea.
yeah, it's something like that. But aside from that, it could be like a greater Israel and then some sort of a pathetic Palestinian ghetto
Yeah.
state, and that would make Israel a long-term kind of political pariah.
Yeah,
in some way.
that would not be okay in my book. I mean, I know there's definitely a lot of people in Israel, especially when they're further right, that want to do that. That's unacceptable, completely unacceptable in my eyes. It's just unjust under any circumstances, under our biblical circumstances, under modern legal circumstances, under anything you could think of. There's no justification for doing that. Um, so there's that. I'm really curious to see how Trump's going to work his way through this because ultimately at the end of the day, Israelis and Palestinians are the only people that can sort this out. Other people can try to push, prod, pull, try to get them to go in different directions, try to push them together, but in the end, only they can make peace with each other. No one else can do it for them. And people can try, people can help them, people can help push them in that direction, but nobody can make them come to the table unless they're willing to come to the table. I don't know what's going to take to get them to that point. Maybe just the whole rest of the crisis in the rest of the Middle East and Syria especially will have overshadowed them so much. And maybe after the crisis in Syria finally ends someday, the Middle East will be in this sort of situation where the power balance is going to be changed. And because the power balance is going to be changed, maybe the Israeli-Palestinian crisis will get changed along with that. But it's
The bottom line is that this is a conflict where people, by and large, chose the cowboys or the Indians. You have to choose.
yeah.
And America chose, whoever you want to, wherever you want to place the Cowboys or the Indians. But they made their choice, and that means that fundamental pressure at the end of the day is not going to be, applied. If the European Union was the world's sole superpower, things
Yeah.
might have been different. But
That's true.
things as they are, there's just a momentum, a surf, and we'll see where it happens. We'll see where it goes. Maybe by the next Valentine Day.
Yeah, right. All right.